In the last video, you learned about HTML tags and how they identify the type of content on the page, like a headline, paragraph, or navigation bar. While there are many HTML tags that you can put wherever you'd like, there are a few that you have to have in the right place for your web page to display correctly. Let me show you. Open up the index.html file, if you haven't already, and we'll take a look at how a web page is structured. The first thing you might notice is that all of these tags are indented, some farther than others. This indicates that some tags are nested, or placed inside of other tags. For example, if you look at header, you can see that this image tag, h1 tag, and paragraph tag are enclosed and indented within the header tags. You can think of this header as a sort of box with 3 items inside. In fact, you can think of all the different parts of your web page as a series of boxes that live inside one another. The outermost box is HTML, and that contains all the information about your web page. Inside the HTML box are 2 more boxes, head and body. The head contains a lot of behind-the-scenes information that people won't see, but that's important for the browser to display your page properly. We'll talk more about head in a minute. The body box contains everything you see in the browser. Inside body is where you have a lot of freedom, where you can add as many or as few boxes as you like. You might have 3 large boxes like header, main, and footer, and inside those boxes, you might have a photo box or a navigation box. Or your website might be a complex mosaic of dozens of boxes. The choice is yours. Scroll down to the bottom of this file, and you'll notice that the HTML tag is the very last thing in the document. You can tell that this HTML tag is a closing tag because of this / right here. All of the code for your web page, behind the scenes or in the browser, is nested within the HTML tags. The only piece of code outside of the HTML tag is the doc type, here at the very top of the page. This piece of code lets the browser know that you're asking it to display an HTML document. Doc type is always the first thing at the top of an HTML document, doesn't require a closing tag, and nothing is nested inside it. You can see that inside of the HTML tags are head and body. As I've said, the head tag contains a lot of invisible but important information about the page. Information such as the title of the page, which will display in search engine results and browser tabs. To see what I mean, change Jane Smith to your own name, save, refresh, and you can see it changes in this tab up here. The head also contains links to other documents that our web page needs to display properly, like CSS. Here we have a tag called link that's pointing to a file called styles.css. This is essentially saying, hey browser, we have a bunch of CSS styles in this other document at this path. Find it and use it to style this page. Between the head tags is also where we would link to JavaScript files and things like this piece of code here, which allows us to pull in and use different fonts on our web page. The head also contains meta tags, which we won't really get into in this course, but they provide information that's used by browsers and search engines. Now let's move on to the body tag. The code that's visible in the browser must be nested inside the body tags. You can put any number of tags inside the body of a web page, but many web designers divide a page into 3 sections: header, main, and footer. You may have heard the term HTML5 and wondered what the difference is between HTML and HTML5. One of the differences is that HTML5 provides tags that help us clearly define the different sections of a web page. There are quite a few of these tags, but the ones we're going to talk about are header, main, and footer. Header often contains introductory information like a company logo, the name of the site, and the purpose of the site. It can also contain a site's main navigation menu, which is normally a list of links to other pages on the site. The main section contains the bulk of the information and content we want to share with the world. In our example project, the main section contains information about a fictional student. But if this were, for example, a cooking blog, the header might contain the name of the blog and the blog's main navigation, while the main section would contain articles, recipes, and food photos. And lastly, we have a footer. The footer generally contains copyright information, social media links, and a secondary navigation. The header, main, and footer tags are helpful in providing a basic structure to your web page, but they are completely optional. As a web developer, you have a lot of freedom and many different tags to structure your web pages. But those elements we talked about earlier, doc type, HTML, head, title, and body, are necessary if you want the browser to display your page properly. Now let's get back to coding. In the next few videos, we'll learn about some common HTML tags and how to use them.